down or die. I cannot do that. I cannot do that. I cannot do that. I cannot.
Alright, hi guys. This is my first time doing any content like this, but this is going to be a review and guide for the World Splitter Void Knight Erasing Strike build. How the build functions first. Mana. This build has infinite mana. Anytime my mana drops below 0, it's going to consume 3 Void Essences and set my mana to 30%. It does this because of the mana Void Well passive. It says when you have 3 or more Void Essences, if you drop below 0, you consume 1 to set your mana equal to 30% of your maximum mana pool. The effect does have a 3-second cooldown, so that's why you want to stack a lot of mana. It actually consumes all 3 Void Essences whenever it consumes them. So you can think about this, every 100 mana you have is equivalent to 10 mana regen per second. And the way we get Void Essences to consume is through Erasing Strike, has this skill node right here. Whenever you critical strike an enemy, you get 1 Void Essence. As you can see here, boom, I crit, I got 1 Void Essence. My Echo, all Echoes also will give you a Void Essence. So then when you drop to 0, these go away, sets it equal to 30% of your max mana. I have infinite mana with 1,240 right now. Around 750, 700 was a pretty happy spot for it. The highest priority is to start getting your Erasing Strike doing crits. Mana regen actually does help a lot. Like I said, 100 mana is about equivalent to 10 mana regen per second. If you put some mana regen on your gear or some drops while you're trying to play this character, it can be helpful as well. Next priority is you want Erasing Strike to be critting. You can see here the 4th line says 0.5% critical strike chance for melee attacks per 1 mana cost. Erasing Strike costs 33 mana, adding 17 base crit onto the ability. Erasing Strike has this plus 9. All you need is 223% increased crit chance. With this node maxed out, a 0.5 roll, you can take the crit chance blessing here to get 80. You can put crit chance on your anomaly if you don't have the gear yet. But I would suggest trying to get tier 7 crit on both of your rings. Alright, so with that out of the way, Nihilus is really nice for the build. You want +2 to all skills. This is the node that you trim out of if you don't have the plus skills, but it's adding a lot of damage every time. I'm using an Osirian here. I was trying to push my Aberoth kill time as fast as possible, and this is giving 10% more damage. And then it's also doing chill and shock. Shock increases stun chance. Chill, help your survivability on bosses, it slows them. And then it's also duration on enemies, so with the size of Erasing Strike, you're running through monos just perma-stunning everything and killing them from like almost a screen away. And you can even stun Aberoth with this build. But if you don't have an Osirian and you don't have tier 7 crit slammed on it like me on first try, you can use Phantom Grip's actually really nice for the build. It will help you cap your crit, It gives percent increased mana. The crit chance implicit's really nice, and it's not too hard to get with LP. Next, you're going to want a Siphon of Anguish, tier 7 crit on it, and Shattered Chains. This this combination of items is unfortunately kind of required on every single melee build, because the ring applies Doom, and then the belt gives you more melee damage per stack of Doom, which goes up to 4, and it's just a massive damage increase. You kind of really need both of these things. Let's talk passives. I max this because it takes cooldown off of my Void Cleave and Volatile Reversal, which is how I move around.
I cannot do that.
Okay, let's talk skills. Racing Strike. So I put my passives here. You want your crit chance, you want your Void Essence on crit. This is how the build functions. Next, I go up here. These 5 points are not super useful, unfortunately, but you have to get to this one, which you do 100% more melee damage versus 12 stacks of Time Rot. This is doubling your damage, and it converts your bleed to Time Rot chance. And the World Splitter actually has a lot of implicit bleed on it. So every Erasing Strike is doing 177% chance to apply a Time Rot, and then you get another 50 here, and then you'll see later, but there's a couple other things that increase our Time Rot chance. So we very easily and quickly get up to 12 Time Rot stacks. You see I'm already there. So that's super important. I'd say that's second priority after crit. Next, I come down here and get no cooldown. You don't have to take this until you have your mana figured out, but this is obviously very good. And then here you get 50% more damage to slowed. You get more damage here, and the kill threshold can be kind of nice. Crit multi. Probably have a lot of people disagree or think this node is better than it is, but this build gets so much crit multi without doing anything that this node is actually lower value than a single point here in Erasure of the Living. This is because Void Knight, you get, around 90 melee crit multi, just being a Void Knight. And the axe also gives you crit multi per 10 mana. So if you have 1,000 mana, this axe is giving you 100 crit multi. You're getting about 90 from the Void Knight tree, so you're already at 190. And so adding another 25 onto that is not as big of a damage increase as a single point here. So if I had 2 more skill points at this point, I would put them in here. We've got pretty much your stock standard Volatile Reversal. What I will say about this is that Time Sap doesn't work. It does not recover cooldown on boss hit. I don't know when they did this, but it sucks. But it's okay, because this build doesn't attack super fast. Now, this was really good for like Rive Healing Hands builds, but you don't have to put points here until you have the mana to support it. The more attack speed you have, the more mana you'll need. These are the points you play with. Either attack speed, move speed, or void damage versus stunned. Okay, Void Cleave. I started out the build, I was wanting Void Cleave to do damage, so I went in here. I got crit vulnerability, crit multiplier. You can take Erasing Strike crit until you have your crit chance sorted. But at this point in the build, this does way less damage than Erasing Strike, because it simply doesn't have the more multipliers that Erasing Strike has. So I've fully transitioned it to be just a support mobility skill. You take the distance and the traversal tag. You take the cooldown as armor shred, additional charge. This is also a huge quality of life. You cast Abyssal Echoes automatically after Void Cleave, so you don't even need Abyssal Echoes on your bar. So going into Abyssal Echoes now, Abyssal Echoes is great because after casting it, your next Erasing Strike will do basically double damage. You'll also get this buff when your Void Cleave echoes. I'm not getting very lucky, but there we go. You see, so if you're sitting here spamming Erasing Strikes, and you mix in Void Cleaves when they're off cooldown. You're just getting, these random hits will just do double damage. And Abyssal Echoes applies blind. Blinded enemies can't crit you, and you'll do extra damage to them because of this buff. So those are the most important, and then from there, you can take this and some Armor Shred, and each of those pulses is going to apply Armor Shred for you, which will just amp your damage a bit more. And then the last skill is Anomaly. Now this is quite different from how a lot of people build it, but I think this is superior. Instant cast just makes the build feel so good, because you don't have to sit there and slowly, you know, cast this thing every once in a while. It's just completely instant. You can just press it while you're attacking. And then I went into Mark of Rot instead of the Time Bubble. This was the opportunity cost I chose. When you press Anomaly on an enemy, they will take double void damage for 5 seconds. It says when they return to the present, they take increased void damage. I went over here and got cooldown recovery speed, which helps if you're standing in your bubble on the boss. It's going to reduce your cooldown on Volatile Reversal, Void Cleave, and Anomaly itself. You don't actually need any more Time Rot chance, so you can take your extra damage here. 9 points here. These are pretty low value points. There are other things you could put your points into. If you get some extra mana on your gear, you can take points out here and put them somewhere else. That would give you probably more damage or more survivability, but this is just rounding out my build for now, so, and blessings. Okay, so for this one, you know, lots of people might think crit strike multiplier, crit strike chance is good as well if you're not crit capped. But for my current gear, the 100% increased void damage, it actually is giving me more damage than the crit multiplier, because you already start with so much. The mana blessing is amazing. All res just really helps. It's competing with crit avoidance, but we apply blind. That's what I'm relying on right now, but ideally you get some reduced damage taken from crits on your gear. Armor. You want to seal frailty on your gloves, or get frailty on your gloves. That's very important. You want to use Eternal Gauntlets and the Champion Regalia. This is tons of armor. Armor goes to dot mitigation. Okay, Seed of Kidrasil, new helmet. This is amazing for the build. This, you use every affix on this thing to great effect. Comes with mana regen. The max health gained as endurance threshold is very good. You want to seal mana on here if you can. Mana on your gloves, mana pretty much everywhere you can get it. Except you don't have to put it on your body armor. Anchor of Oblivion. This item's amazing. I love this item. I was lucky enough to get this 2 LP. Dark Stride. I didn't use this until I got a World Splitter with tier 7 melee void on it. You can just use Citadel Boots. The build does not have haste, so if you can get this experimental affix, you'll get haste every time you use Void Cleave. But obviously highest priority is tier 7 movement speed on the Dark Strides. But yeah, until you get tier 7 move speed on your Dark Strides and tier 7 melee void damage on your World Splitter, just use like Citadel Boots or something. This build already gets so much flat health that the percent health is actually giving you more than hybrid idols. I'd say you want 1 ornate idol. You don't have to have vitality. You can get increased void damage when a skill echoes up top, and melee void damage down bottom. Inspiration, this helps with clearing. This build is very fast, speed farmer. Reduces the cooldown on your Void Cleave. Void Cleave gives you haste. Okay, I know some people are going to be really upset that I don't have any points in the leech here, but Siphon of Anguish, melee damage and void damage leeches health already on it. You don't need more than this. A single erasing strike is just going to leech you back to full within like less than half a second. Percent health, obviously extremely good for this build. You want as many 5% health idols as possible. These small charms with mana on them is very good because you have so much percent increased mana. 50% increased mana on your World Splitter. Flat mana is actually better than percent mana on your helmet and chest. Vitality, 42, 45 vitality, 39. One of those multiples. This will help you cap your poison and necrotic res. Just gives you lots of health and damage from the Void Knight passive. Trying to farm your Champion Regalia, you can seal tier 1 Erasing Strike prefix. And it's actually very high value. You'd put mana, and that will help with your mana situation a lot. You can also seal tier 1 increased echo damage when a skill echoes. And the tier 1 values on this affix, like, it just starts at 100% and goes up by a very small amount each time. This tier 1 seal is very high value. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Hope it was helpful. See you later.